And you're still watching Prime Morning. It's time for the News Flash segment. My name is Roslyn Fairley. I'm not here alone, actually, I must say. Welcome to my first guest, who came in quite early, Honorable Timothy Awontin Matabwade, who is representing the NDC. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Roslyn.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You came in quite early.
Yes. Normally, let me say good morning to our viewers out there and to all those who contribute to our program. Yes, certainly, I would always want to be even 30 minutes before the program, be it radio or TV, and then to relax and to get my thoughts right full for the program. When you come in late, you know you have to rush, and your Tuesday program is very challenging. I like it too, even though it makes you to get up early. At the end of the day, you are refreshed. By the way, but we always give thanks and praises to God for his mercies and favors and to guide us throughout our day. That is the only thing that we yearn from God, and we must continue to be good Christians.
Which is very important.
Very important in our lives, and I know we'll be talking about the unfortunate death of our brother, Enesia Okumi of Akwetia, right here, who unfortunately passed on to glory. But like I always keep saying, it doesn't matter whether you died old or young. What matters most is for your soul to be accepted by Christ and that you be with him. Whatever it is, we should always give thanks and praises to God.
Yeah.
And, you can do your medical checkups, you can do your scientific analysis, but the ultimate is with God. He created you. So you must always, before you go, and it is not different from going to church. You must combine both spiritual and physical treatment and so on.
All right.
So we are grateful for today's beautiful day.
That's true. We are very grateful. Now, on that note, today we want to delve into the 24-hour economy. Honorable, I hope you're ready. You brought everything that you explained to us.
You gave me different topics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll still delve into it.
But we'll still delve into it because very important.
All right. So after 176 days being in office, the NDC government has finally launched their 24-hour economy with a 283-pager document to explain to us how it's going to work. We'll definitely take a look at it. We'll break it down for you to understand it better. And of course, our guests will also be a part of the conversation. And you at home, you are not left out at all. You're also going to be a part of that conversation. So do join us once we say you send in your message. But in fact, you can send your messages now so that we read them with regards to the 24-hour economy. So what was once seen as an initiative to keep state institutions and businesses operating around the clock has evolved into a broader strategy aimed at unlocking structural bottlenecks in Ghana's economy. We'll delve into that. But then let me do the newspapers, and then we'll delve into our topic for today. So I'll start with the New Republic newspaper. The New Republic. $878,000 storm brewing at Ghana's weather agency, inflated contracts and bypassed rules. NPP runs scared in Ablekuma North, seeks court bailout as a defeat looms. Botemana land looters will lose all. Minister warns encroachers to halt developmental activities on sports complex lands. Government owes UK scholarship students 36-month stipend. Desperate students beg Mahama for intervention. And Volta Corridor to receive boost from GIIF AFDB partnership. And that will be all for the New Republic newspaper. The next newspaper is The Overseer. IMF Executive Board approves $370 million disbursement for Ghana. Government to clear debt owed road contractors, and this is coming from Mahama. ADB introduces 24-hour service at Tema Harbour. And MPP mourns sudden death of Akwetia MP and Eskumi. And it's quite difficult, I must say. It's a heavy morning for all Ghanaians because he's a member of parliament. He's somebody who speaks on behalf of all of us. And so at this time, we commiserate with the family and we pray God will give them strength. It's a very, very difficult time. Engineers and planners, EBID, sign $100 million deal for Black Volta Gold project. NACOC FDA dismantle illegal cannabis-infused alcohol factory in Offenso. Oh, wow. So there is an illegal cannabis-infused alcohol factory in Offenso here in Ghana? Who would have thought? Anyway, that's quite interesting, I must say. But, well, let's do the Graphic Business newspaper, which is the next newspaper. The Graphic Business government pays $1.17 billion in Eurobond debt, ready for fresh borrowing. Government misses T-bill target, raises 2.97 billion Ghana cedis. That will be it for the Graphic Business newspaper. My final newspaper is a Chronicle newspaper. The Chronicle, engineers and planners acquire a Black Volta gold project in a landmark $100 million deal. Mahama Khan's claim credit for Ennis Eban Akoma oil discoveries. Minority says so. And savagery of the highest order. Man killed and body sold for 7,000 Ghana cedis for rituals at Adidome. And I saw this I don't want to say story, but a video this morning. My goodness. Do we still have the death penalty in Ghana? Because you know what? I think that there are times where it's needed.
It's needed. Sometimes you cannot imagine how human beings were so cruel to ourselves.
Yeah, so I think that we need a death penalty, you know. I know it went to Parliament where they were putting it on hold. And so I don't know if it's been put on hold yet, but I think the death penalty has to be brought back for people this wicked. Anyway, the Chronicle always gives us a Bible verse, and so let's do the Bible verse, which I love so much. And it's coming from Isaiah chapter 48, verse 22. There is no peace for the wicked, says the Lord. And this is true. Isaiah 48, verse 22. I don't know why this becomes my Bible verse this week. There's no peace for the wicked. Anyway, so Emmanuel Senyo has joined us as well. Good morning, Emma.
Good morning, Rosalind. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Great. And he's representing the NPP. I know you're in black because the NPP is mourning today, right?
I will use this platform to say a very good morning to your good self, my colleague, and your viewers. The Bible says in the book of Romans, chapter 14, verse 8, that if we live, we live for the Lord. And if we die for the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. It is a very devastating news that we had yesterday. Very painful one. A young man that is very promising. Till now, I cannot come in terms with what actually happened. Because at one point when I heard the story, I asked myself, a very youthful man, full of so many promises, and you ask yourself, what are we fighting for as young people? What is the existence of all the struggles? We all saw how this young man entered into Parliament. Just a few months ago, he was, declared as the victor in terms of the court struggle. And the next thing we'll hear is exit. It's so sad, not just to his family, not just to the NPP, but to the entire country. We have lost a gem. This young man is someone who pulls everybody along. And I have had a privilege done to go through all his contributions on the floor of Parliament. And I ask myself again, all these that you exhibited to show to us that indeed you were a man full of, hopes, because he was one of the eyes for the young people. He's just 40. So you ask yourself, what has happened? Could it be me? Could it be you? But like the Bible verse says, if we die, we die for the Lord. Yeah. May his gentle soul rest in peace. Ernest Yaokumi, we love you so dearly. I don't know what to say. I'm so speechless. Thank you. That's all I can say for now.
All right. it's quite heavy, I must say, and we commiserate with the NPP and the family as well, because this is difficult, and even the entire nation, because it hits a lot of people, his constituents, everybody has been hit, and it's heavy. It's a heavy morning. We're not hoping to have such a heavy morning. We're hoping to, be laughing through our conversations, but unfortunately, this happened yesterday. May his soul rest in peace. But then again, we have to talk about the 24-hour economy and what is happening. What Ghanaians think about the 24-hour economy. What does it mean to them? What does it mean to them? But then there's an issue that happened at Adidome, where a young man was killed and sold for 7,000 Ghana cedis. It's just too sad until you ask yourself, what is all this? What is all this? Anyway, there's a video of how his constituents, that is not the man that was killed at Adidome, but rather Yao Enes Kumi's constituents took the news of his demise. Let's take a look at the video. Okay, so if you're watching the screen right now, this is how his constituents took the news. Kwame Nkrumah Botio has joined us. Kwame Nkrumah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I hope everything is good.
Yes.
Great. And so, thank you. Good to see you too. It's quite a heavy morning, and if you're watching the screen right now, his constituents, that's Honorable Enes Kumi, they are really, really, in deep pain.
Yes.
It's quite sad to see what's happening right now.
Yes. It's a very sad situation, and coincidentally, I happened to be in court for different matters when some of his issues came up, both at the Koforidua Court and the Supreme Court. I never met him personally, maybe from a distance in court. And I listened to some of his voice clips from Parliament, where he was talking about waste and provision of bins and all that. This is a man who, at least from his submission, seems to have been a pragmatic person. And we wish, on behalf of the CPP, we wish his family and the New Patriotic Party our deepest condolences.
All right.
Rosalind,
yes,
just a minute. The first time I met Honorable Enes Kumi, I think we met on Asempa FM. And after I did my sermon, he just said that, have you seen Honorable? He does as he doesn't speak. But look at the way he has poured out all this is enough to answer. Very good gentleman. And when we met, we had a cordial relationship like we've been doing, and the discussions were decent and so on. And like all of them have said, let me use the opportunity to say condolences to the family, and they should accept our commiserations deeply down our stomach. And the fact is that, like I told you earlier, it does not matter how you die, whether young or old, but what is said is that the grace to keep living after death, and we are, first of all, beyond the family, also saying condolence to the party, the family, the constituency, and so on, even Parliament, that he has been making his points. Yesterday, when the issue came up, I saw it on a different platform, but I doubted it. But it's a main platform where when I go and see it, I know it's true. So I quickly would run to that platform to cross-check whether what we are seeing is true. And lo and behold, we got that it was true. So what can we say? The issue is that as young men, like he put it, what are we yearning for? What will be our country? What will be the mark after you've passed on to glory, that it can linger on for years? What do people remember about you? I remember the great Alexander the Great, when he conquered the whole world, got everything, got silver and so and gold. He said that when he died, they should, in going to bury him, they should perforate the casket and let his hands come out for people to know that he has nothing, and let the best physicians carry him, and that the gold and silver that he got should be thrown along the way. And the interpretation of this is that naked I came, naked I'm going. I'm taking nothing along, and no physician in the world could save him except the Lord Jesus Christ. We pray for his peaceful rest, and to so much we are looking at his family that he has left behind. whatever. Yesterday, when I was watching the video, there was a young man who said that was the eye of the family. Now that he's gone, they don't know what to do. And he was even weeping because it means that the whole family is devastated. They don't know where to start from. And in such situations, the political institutions that we belong to should be the first to assist the family move out from that quagmire they are facing. We wish him well and wish the New Patriotic Party all the best.
Right. Like I said, God knows best. And so at this point, that's all we can say. God knows best. Now, we want to talk about the 24-hour economy. Talking about that. Now, this policy, after 176 days of the NDC government in power, finally, they have launched a 24-hour economy with a 283-page document. Now, this will be rolled in two phases. It will be, the first phase will involve direct incentives to encourage businesses to run longer hours, and the second focuses on deeper reforms needed to support a continuous production model. Now, let us break it down for you here, for those of you who want to know what the whole 24-hour economy really is about. We are going to break it down. So how often the job projections and the 24-hour economy policy. So now the policy is out. So the projection is that they're going to have job creation for 1.7 million Ghanaians. They are going to get quality jobs by 2028. So by 2028, we should see 1.7 million Ghanaians getting a job. Now, also the 24-hour implementation approach. Now, these are the two approaches that I spoke about, the incentivized business participation part and resolving systematic constraints. So if you take a look at this, the businesses are here. Now, the systems, the constraints that we've been complaining, the system is this, the system is that, the system is this, they're going to resolve how it's going to run. Also, you're going to take a look at the Rising Business Confidence Index. So there's been, in the previous government, we've had issues of, the economy is not too good, where we saw the private sector going down. Now, at this time, they're trying as much as possible to rise confidence in businesses. So if there's any business out there that wants to be, or there's a young person who wants to go into business, how do we boost their confidence to make sure that our index in businesses shoots up? Now, there's incentives for businesses under 24-hour policy. No import duties on these: manufacturing equipment, renewable energy infrastructure, raw materials, and industrial logistics infrastructure. So there's no import duties on all of these. If it's on the manufacturing equipment, no import duties on it. Renewable energy infrastructure, no import duties on it. Raw materials, no import duties on it. And industrial logistics infrastructure, no import duties on it. But then you have to be a part of the companies that are operating under the 24-hour economy. The incentives for businesses under 24-hour policy, no corporate tax on strategic agri-production. No corporate tax on strategic agri-production. Also, strategic agriculture production in 24-hour policy. So let's say you want to go into it, okay, and you want to say, I want to go into agriculture. It's not just any agriculture that they are going to focus on. Now, these are the main things they are focusing on: the cereals and grains, the vegetables, oil seeds, roots and tubers, animal protein, and sugars. These are the agriculture production part that they are going to focus the 24-hour policy on. Now, trend of Ghana's import bill, 2021 to 2024. So this has been our importation, our import bills. This is what we have generated over the period. Now, funding the 24-hour economy policy, Strategic Value Chain Development Fund, 2.5% import levy on processed foods, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, plastic household goods, cement, second-hand clothes, and sanitary parts and diapers. Also, incentives for businesses under 24-hour policy, corporate income tax rebate by shift model, which is good. This is good. So 2 shifts. If you're having a 2-shift system, then you have a 25% rebate. If you're having a 3-shift system, you are having a 50% rebate. So let me find out from you, before we even delve. This is quite interesting to a lot of businesses. Kwame Nkrumah, what do you think?
I think it's a wonderful idea, especially for my field as a legal practitioner, because I think somewhere last year or the year before, the idea was mooted to have the shift system at the courts as well, to have morning sittings and afternoon sittings. And this will really help the legal sector. It will help to drive the cases. I mean, there'll be expedited hearing, and it's a very good thing, and we're excited to see
the 25% rebate. Because if you are in the legal system, then yours will be the 2-shift system, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's a wonderful idea. I mean, it's a wonderful idea. We could even go for 3 shifts.
Oh, really?
Sometimes it goes beyond that. There are times you have to be scanning documents. There's a lot of backroom activities in the legal sector that is for the untrained eye you may not see. So it's a good thing. It reminds me of how law firms operate abroad. I haven't worked on Wall Street before.
Right.
But apparently I have law firms with thousands of lawyers working round the clock. At least in the UK, I know colleagues who work round the clock, and they do that individually. So you have one person doing so much work. But over here, you actually be rewarded for dividing that work into 3 and having 3 people do it. It will bring down workload for the legal sector as well, because now when you employ extra hands, you are rewarded for that. It's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, you're rewarded. And the 3-shift system, also a 50% rebate. Emmanuel?
Well, thank you very much.
We'll quickly go on Zoom because we are being joined, before you go on, we're being joined by Professor. So we'll quickly go on Zoom and we'll speak with Professor pretty shortly. So Professor, please hold on for us to take our initial opinions, and then we come to you. Thank you. Yes, Imam.
I think that the entire idea about this 24-hour economy whole policy is a very fantastic one. The question that we must ask ourselves, which is on your screen, is that can Ghana's infrastructure really support this? And it is a 2-way approach. It's either a yes or a no. And if it is a no, then what it means is that we are not being deliberate or intentional about it. But if it is a yes, then it means that we ought to be extremely deliberate or intentional about this whole policy. Because in terms of this 3-shift system, I had a scenario that I went through last week with the Adenta DVLA. So a day before the policy will be launched on the 2nd, I took the time to go there at midnight because this whole office has been, advertised that they are running 24-hour economy. They run 3 shifts, oil services. So I said, okay, I'm busy. Throughout the day, I'm a night person, I'm a nocturnal person. So I decided to go there in the night, at midnight. I got there, the entire premises was locked. And
that's the case whereby I said I was going to try it too.
No, I think you should have a feel of that. In fact, when I saw the place locked, I asked myself, maybe the security man is in his ghetto there.
Was this before the policy was launched? Or
midnight to the policy to be launched.
Okay.
Because before the policy was launched, we have had the Adenta DVLA, trumpet about the 24-hour economy being done at their end. Because if, as it stands today, that is the only place that you can have a 24-hour service done for you. Mm-hmm. I hung my car on thinking that the security man will come out. Nobody showed up for 15 good minutes. I took pictures as evidence. After the policy was launched, I went there again. When you go on my Facebook wall, I posted it. A day after it was launched that I went there again. I went there on 3 different occasions. Then I had somebody who worked at DVLA who came under my post to tell me that we have not fully implemented the 24-hour economy. It is not fully in operational. We only work sometimes to 10 o'clock until 10 o'clock and at times beyond 10 p.m. and sometimes deep into the midnight. Then I'm like, deep into the midnight. Do you understand what it means to use the phrase deep into the night? So for me, if this whole thing will work, I think that we should stop the theatrics of it, trying to make it look like we are still in a campaign mood and all of that. We should shift from the campaign mood and articulate the policy in a manner that will be comprehended by everybody, so that I know that if I get there at 4 a.m., there is somebody at post who will attend to me. Not when at 10 p.m. the gate is locked, I get there midnight, I cannot access any service. Yet, day in, day out, you have government communicators trumpeting to you that there is a 50% rebate happening because there's a 3 shift in their manifesto promise. They say what? Agenda 133. That's the ratio they gave to us. But that is not what is happening now. So for me, I have my own reservations as far as this policy is concerned. It's a fantastic one, but we must be intentional about it. And when you look at the whole thing, during their campaign promise, they told us the 24-hour economy, but today we are hearing 24-hour plus. And when you look at the whole thing, what they told us during campaign time is different from what they are telling us now. You recall that during the campaign time, we asked them, what's going to be the source of funding? What is the strategy? And you see a lot of their communicators suffering to explain this policy till today as we are speaking. They are confirmed, and then the things that they told us that they'll be selling at the roadside midnight from morning to one part of the day, then we are not seeing those things.
Okay.
So for me, I think that the 3-shift system is a perfect one,
yeah.
But we must be able to distinguish between what the 24-hour economy and the 24-hour plus is. Because these are 2 different things.
Yeah.
One looks like a promise. Because it's an addition to the 24-hour economy. And I think that government communicators should shift from these campaign promises and get on board to explain to Ghanaians what they mean by this policy.
All right.
That is the only way we cannot appreciate it and then move with them.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Honorable, you want to speak briefly?
Yes, just briefly. First of all, my brother, don't be agitated. We'll get there. It's a journey. The 24-hour economy is a journey. It's not a one-stop issue. And I agree with him. And that, in fact, that should be it, that you have to monitor the policy and give a good critique like you have done this month, so that we can move forward like a country. We do no more have time to be doing partisan policy. So I applaud him for saying it's a fantastic policy, but do we have the infrastructure and the necessary ingredients to move it as we want to? And I agree with Lawyer too about the core 24-hour system, how they can do, even if it's 3 shifts. In fact, any policy that will bring, that will create jobs, that will resolve these cancerous issues of unemployment, the youth traveling, all those things, is the best. And we must support and do a better critique of it, so that you see that from independent, from Nkrumah's 7-year development plan up to even the what do you call it,
Vision.
Vision 2015.
2015 to all the vision, to the NDPC 40-year development plan and so on. All these were policies geared towards arresting the issues that confront us. If we look at the colonial economy, it was basically extract and export raw material. How do we come out from this and make our economy better to benefit our people? We've extracted gold, timber, just name it, all those things. So the 24-hour economy is a thought-through policy, a very innovative policy that we wish to mobilize the entire population against behind it for us to move forward. I agree that, yes, we wanted the campaign messages on a platform and doing the real thing, they vary because you will not have enough time to give the details when you're on a campaign platform. The 24-hour plus economy plus is simply adding, look, when you look at the social contract between the president, or between the NDC and the people of this country within the first 120 days, on number 8 talked about establish an accelerated export development council to promote exports as part of a broader strategy for economic transformation. So we've added that because, look, non-traditional exports alone, 2023 gave us $4 billion. And the Ghana Export Promotion Authority estimated by in the next 5 years, it's going to give us $25 billion. That is huge. That's green money. Nothing will be affected. It's like you have you have 20 hectares of land to plant corn, and you are not paying attention to your backyard garden. But your backyard garden is making more money than your 20 hectares of land. What do? You must begin to pay attention to it. In fact, non-traditional export, we've not paid attention to it, but it's yielding even much more than gold, much more than oil, much more than cocoa and so on. What do? We must ensure that we establish that accelerated export development council, chaired by the president. You see, when we do that, what is going to happen is that there's going to be a legislation to kind of protect, ring-fence it, so that any president that comes on after 20 would continue the same, because it is not an issue that is partisan. I don't see that. So, to be honest with you, we look at the discussions across board, people think that's a good policy, but we need the necessary infrastructure. We need to keep the lights on, we need to keep our roads on, we need to keep the security on to ensure that people embark on that. But it's good that you went to monitor the DVLA, and I'll continue to say that monitor the other institutions that we have also enrolled on. It's a new policy. The various institutions were making preparatory stages to enroll on. You need to educate the people about it. Okay. So when they did that as DVLA, it doesn't mean that they will not. It will come to hit them, because we've come to an era where you can no more deceive the people. Social media is replete all forms of information that you can get. And I believe that those who are in the helm of affair will ensure that it's help. And importantly, Guzitano, everybody knows him, and he worked so hard for this policy. It will be brought to Parliament. We'll discuss it. We'll have a lot of discussions across
people,
the board.
283 page, it's, yes, you're going at 283 page. It is the implementation. We are looking at $4 billion US dollars.
We'll come to that.
To use to implement it. So the question is, where do we even get the money from? All right, so let's quickly delve into this as well. More incentives here, targeted VAT exemptions, time of use of electricity tariffs. So between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., if you have that's the third shift. If you have any workers that are working at that time, or you are working, your work is in operation, yes, you have electricity tariff going down as well. So the government is going to absorb some of that cost. 2 to 6% export value rebate for exporters. Now, additional government support for under 24 economy policy, state institutions to prioritize local goods, pop-up stores and regular trade expos, fast-track utilities and regulatory clearance, and also additional government support for the 24. Now, number 9, long-term low-interest loans via Development Bank Ghana. What is the interest on these loans? As it stands now, we are hearing it's going to be 3%. Okay, so if it's going to be 3%, can people be able to pay? It's a question. But anyway, we go also to Ghana's average lending rate, and this is what we see. This is Ghana's average lending rate from July 2016 to March 2025. And then this is the additional government. So this one came up because we want to see how people go to the bank to seek for assistance. And if you look at it, in 2016, there was a high rate where people trusted the banks and were going to the banks to take loans. Now, in 2019, we saw a drop from 33% to 28%. In 2022, it dropped further to 20%. Now, in 2023, it shot up to 33% again. But as of now, in 2025, we are seeing a drop again in 27%. That's what it's saying. And so will people trust the banks to go to the banks to take loans? Is a question that we have to answer. The 10th one is the easier access to cocoa beans for local processors. I am excited about this because I always say that when we boost our cocoa sector, definitely our industry gets better. Ghana gets better. We make a lot of revenue from cocoa, so that is good. Estimated cost of 24-hour economy policy. Now, this is the big question. $4 billion US dollars, 41 billion Ghana cedis. Where will we get this money from? Now, institutions financing the 24-hour economy, Bank of Ghana. Now, Bank of Ghana, as it stands now, is also even shaky because they also need a certain amount of money to boost it up again because as it stands now, they don't have that money. Development Bank Ghana and Ghana Exim Bank. These three banks are the ones to help finance the 24-hour economy. So if you're looking for the $4 billion US dollars we are talking about, these are the finance sectors that we have to go to. But do they have the capacity to be able to do this? Now, $300 million US dollars from government, 7% of that, PPPs via Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, and $148 million US dollars of 2025 DACF for 24-hour markets. All right. And so we look at the past industrial policies, one district, one factory. We saw 541 million that was invested in it. 1D1F, there was 169 1D1F enterprises that got affected. All right. So I think that for now, we'll leave this one so that we delve into what we have taken so far. And I did tell you earlier that Prof is joining us as well. But, you know, talking about the amount of money and talking about us knowing that we might not be in good stance with our finances, how do we get this $4 billion is a big question on everybody's lips. Is it going to be one of those policies that we hear that it has to be implemented? But then when it comes to money, then we have to take a hold on it. Kwame.
I think we'll succeed. And before I get to that, I would want to commend Emmanuel Senyo for checking out the DVLA, because I think more or less he's carrying out the Goal 24, which is number 8 on the groupings that His Excellency did, which talks about operational drive to coordinate, monitor, and evaluate. So he's been a good citizen by evaluating that. Regarding where we'll get the $4 billion from, I think from number 7 especially and number 9 of what was on the screen. Number 7 talking about the regular trade expos, and number 9 talking about the low interest rates. What I know about the developed economies, the UK and other places, is that the low interest rates actually helps the economy to grow. I remember there was an instance during my university days when occasionally I used to go and work in the UK for some extra income. And after making some money, I wanted to invest there. And then my auntie told me that over here, the interest rates when you invest is about 0.1%. And as at that time, I think Ghanaian treasury bills was about 17% to 23%. So over there, the interest rates are deliberately kept low so that people can borrow and get the economy moving. So I think with this combination of low interest rates and the regular trade expos, people will be able to manufacture more, and these trade expos also will bring the attention of other countries on Ghanaian products, and that will increase our productivity and eventually lead to more revenue within the system in order to assist the government through the taxes and other things in order to get things moving. And there was also a slide about a 2.5% levy on imported of certain imported products, sanitary pads and other things. These levies will make those imported products more expensive than the local products, and thus will lead to more income generated for locally produced goods. So it is extremely ambitious, but the CPP has always supported ambitious products. If you look at from the 60s, even the Akosombo Dam, it was said that it couldn't be done. Where would the money come from? So we say that never say never. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. And I can see that we all support this initiative. And I'm really touched that, especially Emmanuel going to monitor it. It's like everybody wants it to work. In a way, everyone is contributing in their own way. And Honorable too said that when it comes to things like this, we shouldn't be partisan. I see that everyone is prepared to put their heads together, bring their ideas together in order to make this work. I think it will work.
You think it will work? And everybody agrees that it's going to work. Emmanuel, do you agree it's going to work?
Well, just as I said earlier, I think that this whole policy is a fantastic one, just as I indicated. And it can only work if we are intentional and deliberate about the things we do and not premise things on campaign promises. Now, I say this because yesterday, as part of my research whilst coming here, I got to a point where I realized that during the SONA that the president presented this year, his speech outlines there was a portion which talks about the key component of the 24-hour economy, which includes ambitious plans to attract $4 billion in private sector funding to support continuous operations across critical sectors, integration of the 24-hour economy into broader physical and job creation agenda with its submission to Parliament alongside related reforms. And he further went ahead to state that a commitment to enabling round-the-check activity in sectors like agri, transport, manufacturing, health, and services starting on the 1st of July 2025. This was what was stated in the President's State of the Nation address. Then I asked myself, the President stated that this policy will commence on the 1st of July 2025. Yes, still, we had this policy being launched on the 2nd of July 2025. When you look at also the projected figures, he talked about $4 billion. Again, when you look at what the committee presented, it hoved around the same figure. Then I try to connect the dots and cross my T's. What it tells me is that government is not just attempting to, ensure that this policy is rolled out. And I'll tell you why. But government is only attempting to tell us that we have fulfilled our campaign promise. I'm coming. I'll tell you why. We have fulfilled our campaign promise. The 24-hour economy is launched or has been launched. Now, I say this because if you follow what the president said and when it was launched, you realize that it has not added up. And again, things seems to be working in a certain direction. I'm coming.
I just want to find out what doesn't add up.
In terms of what he told us it will be, the process will commence on the 1st of July in his SONA, but it was launched on the 2nd. I'm coming. I want to actually build a point. I'm saying this because just as I told you that I went to DVLA, went there 3 different times, you realize that the whole service or whatever is not in full operation. Now, another thing that triggered my mind is that when the finance minister was presenting his budget this year, he was very emphatic. And he states that, Mr. Speaker, we remain committed to the pursuit of our 24-hour economic policy aimed at stimulating economic growth and job creation. This policy will contribute to addressing Ghana's
blah, 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 blah. Then point 8 says that we will be presenting a 24-hour economy policy to Parliament in due course. What it means is that as it stands today, as a government, we do not have a clear-cut implementation plan as to this 24-hour economy. And if I say clear-cut implementation plan, I hope you agree with me why I'm saying that.
I do. Please explain.
Now, the clear-cut implementation plan is that...
Can you do this in like 2 minutes for me?
When we had a free SHS, we told Ghanaians that we were going to commence this operation in October. As it stands today, government is unable to tell us the exact date when they will fully start this. Even the ones we've been told that they are in operation. It is just for the cameras. So I am of the view that we must be deliberate and know when there will be full implementation. And we are lacking this because there is no funding for the project or for the policy. Government is not trying to source funding for this policy. And one of the key areas which you highlighted has to do with DBG, that this government then in operation, then in opposition, lambasted so much. Today, DBG is being fought on. BOG, they have complained about so many losses and the rest. And this policy, for it to fully be executed, the amount involved is so huge that I don't think that if you add this burden to DBG, to BOG, then what it means is that there will be more losses. So for me, I think that the policy is a good one. That one, I must admit that it is a good one. But again, government must think through this whole idea very well and shift from the paper and, campaign promises to real work. It seems to me that the NDC as a government coming in government, they only gave us sweet slogans, heart-touching songs, like Mahama is the hope, Capri, Capri, and all of that. And above all, they ran this campaign with PR gimmicks, and it won them the power that they have. And today, they are still thinking that they are in campaign mood and do not want to get to work, and rather will be exhibiting or advertising 24-hour economy. And when you go there to, have your services rendered, you see gates locked, chairs and everything empty. So I think that is a good policy. I'll continue to say it. That is a good policy. However, government must give us a clear-cut implementation plan, the funding sources. I think that DBG and then BOG with Exim Bank alone is not enough. If I want to go into the nitty-gritty of DBG, what they are going to come up with, then you realize that DBG is going to have a whole lot of issues because the Women's Bank is also being relied on. So it tells you that this government has really not thought through the policy. It was just a campaign promise. However, for them to fulfill it, they need to put something out there for Ghanaians to see that, of course, we are doing our work. But I think that we need to move from the campaign gimmicks and then get to real work.
All right, fantastic. That's Emmanuel making his point there. Let's quickly go on Zoom. We are being joined by Professor Evans Akwesi Jesse. He's an associate professor in international trade at the School of Economics, Finance and Law. Good morning, Prof.
Roslyn.
How are you?
And good morning to the panelists. Yeah, I'm doing very well. You?
Doing very well as well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, we are talking about a 24-hour economy policy. Now, it's even plus, there's a plus to it. And 283-page document that has been given to Ghanaians. What do you think about it? Have you read through, and what do you think about it so far?
Thank you, Roslyn, and good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners. I've read the policy, or they call it program now. And I was listening to the comment made by your panelists, and I agree them as well. I agree that it is a very good policy, but let's take a step back to memory lane. Ghana has been at this period before. In 1957, Kwame Nkrumah launched the Big Push that ushered in, the sugar plant factory in Asuchare, again, the tomato factories in Wenchi, and of course, the cattle and hide leather shoe in Bolga. We moved to 1978-79. A Champon brought about the Operation Feed Yourself. Rawlings also brought about Economic Recovery Program, Structural Adjustment Program. Kufuor brought HEPIC. Mills Mahama, Infrastructure. Nana brought 1D1F, NAPCO, Planting for Food and Jobs. And now we are talking about 24-hour economy. So the issue is not lack of policy when you look at the Ghanaian context. But I agree with Senyo in part that it is about the implementation. But we have to give credit to the government. They are only 6 months into government. We don't expect them to implement the 24-hour economy now. The good thing is that it has been launched. That was only last week. In terms of the financing arrangement and all the other elements that has to come together for us to be able to actualize this, I think it's a long haul. I don't see this project being implemented fully in the tenure of President John Mahama. I believe that it should be a long-term program for the entire country. Yes, the idea was born by the NDC, but it should be owned by Ghanaians. Many a times we play the political game. That is where we are. And we have to remember that the monies that are going to be used for the 24-hour economy is Ghanaian taxpayers' money, not taxpayers' money of NDC or MPP. So I think it's about time, and I agree, and I'm glad that Senyo believes, and of course the other panelists believe, it is a good policy. And I believe that all of us have to rally around, share ideas, and make sure that as much as possible, all of us push for this program to be successful so that we can reap the benefit of it. If you ask me about whether it is a good policy or not, I agree it is, but there are 3 critical things that have to happen. I think that we have to align our institutions to the program. I know we have 24-hour secretariats. I don't think it's necessary. We have government agencies existing that ought to be aligned to that. When John Mahama leaves office, the next government may come and scrap the 24-hour secretariat. What becomes of the policy and the program then? But then when it is aligned to the agencies that we have already, then I think we own it. The civil servant owns it. And that will make sure that as much as possible, it becomes part of the programs and projects of the entire country, and we all forge together and make sure that we reap the benefit of that. So that will be my initial comment in terms of how I see the policy. I think it's laudable, it's fantastic. It is about time Ghanaians develop the Ghanaian economy. And if we all put our shoulders to the wheel and we all agree that it is a policy worthwhile pursuing, then I believe that all of us should do our best to make sure it works for the betterment of everyone.
Fantastic. I think one thing that people are concerned about is the amount of money needed to let this be successful. Looking at our current standings, the Bank of Ghana that's supposed to support us currently is in debt with 769.4 billion cedis as of March. And this is what Bank of Ghana even needs for itself to boost up again. So how will Bank of Ghana be able to support this?
Yeah, that's a good point. One thing that I believe is that I think SMEs and private enterprises should be the anchor of the program. And I think when the president was launching it, he made mention of it. We know that 80% of our GDP is supported by SMEs. The 24-hour economy cannot be successful if we relegate them to the background. I believe that, yes, Bank of Ghana would support, other international agencies may support, but we have to allow SMEs to also raise their own capital. They have to buy into the programs of the 24-hour economy. So I think there are a lot of policies being rolled out in terms of the tariffs, easing of tariffs in terms of how much companies are going to pay if they are running 24-hour economy when it comes to electricity and what have you. I think these incentives are laudable. But then the government should also open up the space so that individuals who can find findings elsewhere bring in the money that we need. Because, as you said, we went to IMF program. How much did we get? I think it's about 1.5 billion. For how many years? About 3 years, isn't it? And we are talking about 4 billion. That's why I said that we may not see the full implementation of the policy in the lifetime, or in the if you look at the how do you call it, the lifeline of this presidency. But I believe that it should transcend beyond John Dramani Mahama, and I think Ghanaians should own it. And of course, small, medium enterprises should also come on the table and make sure that they also bring the funding that is needed. Government cannot do it all. I think it requires the effort of everybody. And I believe that the SMEs has a critical role to play when it comes to the implementation of this particular program. All
right, Prof, I'll come back to you. Let me speak with Honorable Awantrim. Honorable, another thing people are concerned about is the tariffs. Yes, we've heard that it's going to be, the government is going to subsidize in a way. However, we're also seeing rents going up in a certain percentage, over 50% as it stands now. Although inflation has gone down to 13%, rent has gone up, electricity tariff has gone up, and all of that. So now, government is supposed to support, yet the people are not feeling what we are supposed to feel.
Yeah, you see, policies are not like mushrooms that grow overnight. When a policy is done, it is put into a program. It is not a 9-day wonder. My friend amazes and amuses me this morning about the way he went about it, even though he had applauded that it's a good policy. What we need this time is a total mobilization of the people behind the policy. And we have also agreed this morning that it's good to do a critique of the policy so that we know where we are going. We embrace every critique. But if you keep saying that it's a campaign gimmick, we've moved from that year into a different year altogether. And as we sit today, look, there were policies that we undertook when we were empowered that was hard for the people of this country. We borrowed money and pursued them. Today they are yielding fruition. For instance, the Atuabu gas. I was in Parliament that one went for 1.5 billion from the China Exim Bank, but we finally got 1 billion. It's yielding fruition. Look at the expansion of the Temaport, the MPS. It's yielding fruition. Recently, the biggest liner landed there all over Africa. It could not dock at any point. It docked here. Look at the expansion of the airports and so on. These are institutions and infrastructure that can pay themselves, and they generated income, did employment, and so on. And even if the state resources are like that of Kemidas, the legendary Kemida, who is so rich in gold, you must still use them as at when you need them. The 4 billion is huge, but you are not going to just put the 4 billion into businesses. That 4 billion must be released as at when it is needed. No one releases a total amount of money. Even if you take your salary, you do not do that. You release it as at when expenditure comes up again and so on. So the seed capital for this is between $300 and then $400 million. There's going to be a budget review in August. It's going to capture and take on board. This is my friend trying to say that it was supposed to be launched on the 1st July and it launched on the 2nd. Where are you drawing the synergy? It has nothing to do. It has been launched. We are moving forward. We want to see its total implementation involving the rank and file of the population of this country. Those who are to enroll on the project and to benefit from the tax incentives, tax rebate, electricity rebates, and so on are geared towards improving their revenue and also to produce enough to export, not only targeting the local exporters. So government must make sure that all this, and we do not put spokes or walls, and then the accessibility of these things to all the banks and so on must be easy. That's why we're bringing down the interest rate. Look, there's nothing wrong if we begin to reduce expenditure in some of the areas that are frivolous or some of the that cannot yield immediate results and push it there. It's a policy that we must hold it in this body and this spirit to ensure that we have total benefit. For a long time, we've looked at the colonial economy, gone through independence. I mentioned about the 1957 Nkrumah's policy, went through all up to today. Where are we going? What is the trajectory? What do we want to see in the next 4 years and so on? That is why this particular secretariat is in the presence of, and the president is going to chair it. There's going to be an authority. I disagree with Prof on the grounds that it should be aligned with the institutions. Every new policy, you need a coordinating body to be able to synchronize and to ensure that there's a synergy. When that is done, you begin to get the problem. As at when the child grows, you begin to release the child as he gets matured, and after some time, the parent might not even need to supervise the child because the child would have been matured enough. So yes, it is true that they need to align.
What he was trying to say was that so we don't have another government coming in and scrapping it, and it becomes one of those,
yes,
policies that got started
I agree.
was on a good note, and
that
then another government comes in and feels
that is it.
We don't want it.
Yeah, even if you look at decentralization, look at institutions like Minister of Health, Minister of Education, Minister of Agric. There's food, you can more than 70% of this. And so when we come into power, politics, they do not really disturb the fundamentals. You understand? It's only probably you may have to change some people up there because you have a policy to implement and so on. And I believe and I agree that once it is non-partisan, the debate on this will start on the floor of Parliament. It will be sent down, permeate down to the local people on the ground. They would understand. Everybody will rally behind it to ensure that we have a successful implementation. There's no need. Look, like we kept saying this morning, it was good that Emmanuel Senyo had to go and then police this. And all of us must be police people. Yeah. In fact, what did the former president say? We should not be spectators. Is that not it?
We should be citizens.
We should be citizens and not spectators. So this policy equally calls for what? Citizenship and not to be a spectator on the ground and so on. So I think that it's a new policy. The holes that have been, what do you call it? Being put into it is good so that we take off on an even keel and on an infrastructure and on a foundation that is resilient and robust to carry it ahead. But I can assure you that it's not like when the MPP came to power, immediately came to power, a mic was put in front of Honorable Safu Mafo. The 40-year development plan, are you going that way? I'm not going to do any 40-year development plan. You understand? I don't think we are going to go that way. We've moved from such shenanigans into a reality. There's nothing we can do about the economy. If we want to be competitive in the global economy and take advantage of what is happening there, we must harness our economies of scales and see how best we'll be able to mobilize the rank and file of these people to move the policy forward. Okay. It becomes the best for us.
Let me try and speak with Prof before I let him go. Okay, so Prof, there's a precedent that was set. So when we look at the 1D, 1F, where 500 million Ghana cedis was spent, where only 169 companies benefited. So Ghanaians feel that looking at this precedent, this could be one of those things where a policy is supposed to be launched, policy is launched, now we say a certain amount of money is supposed to be pushed in there, just a few people benefit from it, and then it becomes one of those stories. Could that be the reason why some people don't believe in this policy?
It's a genuine concern that people may have, but I think that does not take away the validity or the promise that this program would have for the economy. I think this can be cured if we have effective monitoring regime. And that was why I was saying that we need to align the program to the existing agencies. We have to make sure that the Auditors General, the Ghana Statistical Services are on board. They have data. Now economies are run by data. We need to know from the launch of the program up until December, what is the progress so far? How much have we spent? How many people have been employed? We have the Grow Ghana, we have the Grow 24, Make 24. What have been done? Once there is transparency, once there is accountability, once there is effective monitoring, we know where the monies are going, who is benefiting, what are we reaping from those investments. Then, of course, the call for people to rally around the program will be a genuine one and everybody will be on board. And many a times in the Ghanaian economy, we have borrowed, tried to implement programs, but the outcomes are just woeful. We have a lot of debt hanging over the neck of the economy, all because of failed programs. We do not want the 24-hour plus program to be one of them. We believe that it's a bold initiative, and if it is effectively implemented, we'll get the benefit. So we need monitoring. We need to know where the monies are going so that it doesn't become one of those 1D, 1F, or one dam, one this, or one this, one that. We want to know where our monies are going. We want to know who is benefiting, job creation, because if you look at the population, we have high unemployment rate. And if we are to effectively implement this, that will lessen the burden. Youth will go into agriculture, youth will start making things, and that is all that all of us want. So effective monitoring is very, very key, and the government has to be very transparent and open so that we know where our monies are going. And I think by so doing, the criticisms will lessen, people will come on board, and all of us will give our best to support the economy. So that is very, very key. If we do not monitor and if we are not transparent, then of course people will have cause to raise questions and of course raise alarm as to where the monies are going and the benefits that we are reaping from that money that we've invested.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us this morning. We are grateful. And that's Professor Evans Akwesi JC. He's an associate professor in international trade at the School of Economics, Finance and Law at Anlia Ruskin University in UK. I want to read a few messages because you at home, you also do matter to us. But before I read the messages, Kwame Nkrumah, this president, I will ask you the same question because that has been the worry of Ghanaians. Government comes, government goes. And the recent president is the 1D1F, 500 million Ghana cedis. People feel it's been thrown down the drain. Only 169 companies benefited. And so people are a bit jittery about this one too. Because $4 billion US, if it goes down the drain, then of course we know that we are in deep troubles.
Yeah. You know, we can see the current mood in the country is becoming less adversarial. You know, our political system is an adversarial system, just like our legal system. If you look at the free SHS policy, for example, you can see that the NDC government has continued with it. There seems to be a concerted effort to take Ghana back to a certain status. I was at the NDPC launch where one of the panelists, I've forgotten his name now, at the conference center, he stated that the best period that Ghana had was in the 60s, that's the early 60s. And we have all seen that this rancor and this over-politicization of issues is not taking us anywhere. The Honorable Education Minister, the current government, they've carried on the free SHS policy, no matter what people said against it or the NPP government. We can also see that the NPP in opposition now, even in their criticism of the current 24-hour policy, it is not that it will not work or it is a bad idea. They are also concerned about the workability of it. So you can see that everyone wants this to work. And I think that whichever government takes over in 2028, we the CPP, we are hoping that we are the ones who will take over. And we have always been for such grand agendas which brings everybody along, leaving nobody behind. So from the current statements in the public domain, from the posture of the main opposition party, I don't think this is a policy that will be shelved. It will be carried on, just as the NDC government saw the sense in the free SHS and have also carried it on.
Oh, fantastic. Now, let me ask you this question. I'm sorry, before I go to anybody else, I just want to find out. There are people who are saying that if we want to do the 24-hour economy, you know, for the Westing, they do the payment of per hour or, you know, per week or something. We do minimum wage. Must we take a look at our payment system?
You know, that the per hour payment system is wonderful. It's amazing. Even though my staff are paid monthly, we still have a scheme where you do get a bonus for coming to work on time. And that bonus is calculated hourly. So if you come to work late, you lose out. If you close before the time you're supposed to close, you lose out. So there are some companies that, even though they still do the minimum wage and the monthly, they've still found a way to do the per hour to encourage people to give up their best. I personally think that the per hour system is the best. As I said in my university days, I used to travel occasionally, you know, as students to go and do
Any work.
Call international, any work. And we're paid per hour.
Yeah.
If you're supposed to be at work by 7:30, you get there by 7:31, 7:32, you are fired.
Yeah. Or you lose that first 1 hour.
You lose that first
money.
1 hour. And we were paid weekly.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yes.
At the end of the week, you get your check. And they encouraged us. So people always ask that, why is it that Ghanaians sometimes drag their feet when they are here, but when they travel, they are doing 2, 3. And there were times when there was a time when I was doing 2 jobs. I was doing my 9 to 5. At 5 p.m., I go home, shower, eat, get about 3 hours rest, and then I go for my 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I was encouraged. I was being paid hourly, and it will give that kind of flexibility where people can also pursue their passions. So you can have a legal practitioner doing his 9 to 5, but maybe his real passion is to be a florist or a soap maker or something, an artist, or maybe he's into carpentry. And then from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., you can also work elsewhere. It's a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful. Okay. We should look at. Honorable, do you agree the per hour system?
You see, we must be careful we don't import foreign policies hook, line, and sinker. These foreign policies must be domesticated to suit our economic conditions and our resources so that we don't get into trouble. The per hour payment is good, but what are the ingredients that goes into it? What are the working conditions? What is their productivity, their output that enables them to pay like that, and so on? I know every economist across the globe have their own ways of protecting the interests of the private sector vis-a-vis government institutions. That's why when Obama was in power, when the Wall Street crashed, he has to print over trillions of dollars to support Morgan Stanley, Citibank, and Chase Manhattan, because they knew that capitalism, that's the center of it. So the government had to come in to save them in order to continue to allow the capitalist economy to go on and so forth. So fine, it is good like he enumerated this morning, but we have the capacity to do that. Let us hasten slowly.
Okay.
At an appropriate time, people will even demand, workers will demand for the rightful payment and so on.
Okay.
Depending on the output and the amount of monies the private institutions make. We are in this country, we know how even public institutions, how we are sometimes, not all, are lackadaisical towards public institutions and so on, including even private institutions. For me, I'm all for the goodness of a worker, because you cannot exert your labor and do not get commensurate what are incomes and then payment and so on.
All right.
We can move there. As we are pursuing this policy, salaries and so on will be realigned to ensure that as you produce, you are also paid what can take you home and so on. That is why sometimes public sector workers agitate. Even the minimum wage that we are talking about in this country, how many private people pay the right minimum wage and so on?
Okay, so then maybe when we take a look at that, maybe when it's implemented, we'll get more people interested in this 24-hour economy. There'll be people who might take on 2 jobs because if I can do day and I can do night to add on to more, to add on to my money, why won't I? But we have this attitude because we know we are dealing with minimum wage. Whether I go to work or I don't go to work, I have my money and I'm not bothered about it. Emmanuel.
Well, I think I agree with my brother, and partly I agree with him as well. But one key thing we must look at is whether our environment conditions are conducive enough for the hourly payment. If I look at what we have currently as a country, I don't think that we have the systems in place that will be able to be doing the hourly payment. You go to the outside world, the kind of systems in place is far different from ours. I have had a privilege. Last year, I was in Europe, and then I went to Belgium. At one point, I got there around 2 a.m. Their restaurants were still in operation. But in Ghana here, it is different. And I have my cousin who works over there. He also works in one of the restaurants. He's being paid on an hourly basis. So when he misses out within a time, he will not be paid.
Yeah.
So it means that they have created that enabling environment. There is reliability of lights.
Yeah.
Their transport system
Security.
is working. Their security system is working. You can mention them. In Ghana here, and the story is different. So this policy is a good one. But I think that, I'll continue to repeat that, we must be deliberate and intentional. Because if you are not intentional about it, then what is the purpose of...
Especially the transport system. I like that you brought that up. The transport system, very important. Are we getting our rail lines working? Very, very important that we bring that into the conversation.
I want to use the opportunity to commend the former President Nana Addo Dankwa for the railway lines, the Tema railway lines that he constructed to the eastern region and other places, few of the other places. I think that this government, I think they've captured that they want to continue those things. It will help us a lot.
Yeah.
And there is one thing I have been asking myself about these ECOWAS leaders. And I think that we must get agitated enough. You want to travel to a country like Togo, Nigeria, and you have to go through a long hours to get to that place. It's very bad.
Anyway, let me read a few messages. Rosalind, you really understand the 24-hour plus policy. I enjoyed your touch screen analysis. I think President Mahama should appoint you as the spokesperson for 25. Really, we are hoping to see the implementation stage because we are still at the first stage of the policy, which has to do with planning and launching. Ghanaians are waiting keenly. Master Planner Junior, Master Planner, really, Musa Abatoa says that the 24-hour economy policy is a bold and visionary initiative aimed at accelerating national development through job creation and improved livelihoods for ordinary Ghanaians. It reflects President Mahama's forward-looking and people-centered leadership. What's ironic, however, is that those who champion the scandal-ridden National Cathedral project, which become a symbol of waste, are now the ones opposing this progressive and impactful policy. Abam Papa Abba. Says that it has, he says that the new patriotic party fraternity was deeply saddened by the sudden loss of Honorable N.S.E. Alkumi yesterday. Yes, very true. May the Almighty God protect him in the bosom of Abraham. Rest well, N.S. It is not evident that the NDC-led Mahama administration is taking Ghanaians for granted. The promise of a 24-hour economy has been exposed as a scam with a significant 17% increase in electricity tariffs. Can the National Cathedral's financial records be considered transparent? How can the government credibly reset Ghana with propaganda and lies? Fellow Ghanaians, let us exercise caution with this administration until 2028. Rest well, Honorable N.S.E. Alkumi. Teacher Kojo Tepa Yinswano, may Honorable N.S. Yaokumi make her have mercy on his soul and grant him peace. May my condolences to his family, his wife, children, and his dependents during this difficult time. Greetings to Honorable Eric and Nana Ajiman, MP for Ahafo North. From Gatsi Bekum, why are the NDC communicators consistently struggling to explain the policy from opposition to government? They have explained it both in English and Tree, yet nobody understood them. The NDC man is just shifting the goalposts. We need leaders who will come out with clear ideas and policies that are clear and understandable. That's where Dr. Bawumia stands tall, and I hope the MPP delegates will do the excellent job by re-electing him as the flag bearer. This whole 24-hour economy is just a propaganda gimmick to win power, because it's just a photocopy of 1D, 1F. You see, this is what I was talking about. People are still comparing it to the 1D, 1F just because of a certain precedent that was set. Kwame na CDT, I have, was it? I have what? Finally, President Mahama has launched a 24-hour economy policy, which will boost economic activity and productivity and leverage and creation of jobs for youth and reduce unemployment rate, which is affecting this country. 24-hour economy policy is a game changer. My regards to youngest and hardworking MD for Prestia Sankofa Gold Limited. Good morning, Rosalind. My condolences to the family of the deceased Honorable N.S. Kumi, MP for Akwatia constituency, and the new Patriotic Party members. We have lost a leader and great member of the NPP. Rest in peace, Honorable Kumi. 24-hour economy is a good policy, but the question is, are we ready as a country? do we have the resources to implement it? Greetings to Mayor Senyo. Ganyo Collins sent this one. K. Frimpong says, good morning, Roslyn. Nobody's against 24-hour economy, but unfortunately, the very people who are championing it don't seem to even understand what they're talking about. The difficulty started with the explanation of the policy. Government is now demonstrating that indeed they don't even believe in the policy. A policy which, according to Mr. Goss, is it Goss? Oh, hey, that's Gusitano, require $4 billion to implement it. Government, who is championing the policy, is starting with a seed money of $300 million. 24-hour economy operation is demand-based drive. The fanfare launching is becoming too many. We were told 24-hour economy is about jobs, 133, one job for 3 people. Let's ask ourselves, the institutions that we are told have already started operating 24, how many people have been employed there? Because to the best of my knowledge, I have not seen any advertisement of recruitment in any of these institutions. All government recruitment are advertised for the general to know and apply. Government have not advertised any recruitment unless those instructions are doing 24-hour operations with the same staff strength, which will clearly defeat the purpose of this policy. Now, the big question here is, when will it be implemented? Because people feel it's been implemented. We know it's just a launch. So, Honorable, you are here on the ticket of the NDC. When will the 24-hour policy be implemented?
Let me come. You see, one thing that is clear is that people are jumping to say that, why are you getting the $4 billion? Let me give a good example. Even with the IMF loan that we went for, it's $3 billion, but they didn't give all the money to us.
They gave it to trenches.
Trenches.
Yeah.
As at when we have certified the conditions under which we went for the loan. So even if the $4 billion is sitting in the Bank of Ghana, we are not just going to release it to the Secretariat to start. It must go in tandem with the development as we go along the line. That is the first thing that people should understand. The foundation would have been that if the 1D1F had fully been taken off, it would have even been the foundation for the 24-hour to be anchored on. If the 1D1F, one village, one dam had actually been done, it would have been the foundation for it again to be anchored on. Because we're talking about agric and agri-businesses and processing and so on. We would have just used that as a platform and then we'll continue to build. You understand? So I can understand the apprehension by our Ghanaian people because of the failed policies over the years and so on. But I can assure them that this is going to be, it's not going to be a 9-day wonder. It's going to go through the mill. It's a thought through and innovative thinking policy that has been brought. And a lot of consultation went into the production of that document. It wasn't a human's job. It's hard work that even within the 6 months, we're able to present this document to the people of this country. When is it going to start? It has just started. It has started, but you see, like he said, a journey with 1,000 miles starts with a step. The step is that the policy is now there that you can make a reference to.
Okay.
We are discussing it. Has started like that. We are going to go to the implementation stage.
When is the implementation?
That's why I told you that it will even be discussed in Parliament. They will go and look at it. There will be an act of Parliament. And even the review, the budget review that will come in this August is going to capture aspect of it and even tell us exactly where we are going to get the $4 billion from. You understand? It's not just going to be any. You see, every policy has its fronts and smiles. When it fronts on you, you take it. When then you improve on the fronts. When it smiles on you, you improve and then you continue to smile. So it is an organic document. It is not a document that is static or cast in iron and stone. So the implementation has started with the production of the document and the launching of it, and it will continue. It said it's not a destination; it's a journey.
It's a journey. All right, thank you so much,
Until we reach
Honorable.
the destination,
fantastic.
We cannot say it as.
All right, I'll read a few mail messages. Good morning, Roslyn. I think this policy is not a bad thing. We should support it. Robert Yankson from Cape Coast. Good morning, host. The 24-hour economy is here to build jobs, boost productivity, and reduce imports. It's about Ghana working with purpose, pride, and progress every hour of the day. No fee stress has come to stay to reduce financial burden on students and their families. Aban Papaba, Nana Jedu Droboja, Man South. It's obviously clear the NDC themselves do not understand the 24-hour economy. Just look at how Honorable is struggling to, he is not struggling to explain it. He has explained it very well. He says that barely 6 months into power and the president's brother is brazenly seizing mining sites that don't, I'm sorry, I don't have proof to this. So unfortunately, I will have to skip that message. Roslyn, you really understand it. Okay, I think I've done this one already. Good morning, Rose.
For you.
Good morning, Rose. Tell the MPP man that nobody can start business and put all his money into it. Once even washer seller, don't use
Watch it, seller.
Oh, watch it. Oh, God have mercy. Is this watch it? Okay. Even watch it seller, don't use one bag of rice. No, it was a spelling.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, watch it seller.
He wants to prophesize.
Maybe a bag of rice for starting. So he should go with 100 people before it starts.
Blame game.
How are you able to read this? You get this a lot?
Well, I do.
Okay, no wonder. Blame game. Look, if Muhammad 10, oh God, I'm struggling. I'm sorry, but I'm struggling to read it, so I have to go off. Good morning, Roslyn. The 24-hour economy is a good policy, I must say. Before you implement such policies in the country, we must see the strength of the fiscal strength of the country. The same government that is complaining of no cash issue is now saying they are bringing a very huge policy to break down the economy. Good morning. Senyo, in fact, you are one of the big assets in NPP. Good morning, Rosalind. The introduction of the 24-hour economy is a great concept, but its implementation needs to be comprehensive. Currently, some organizations like government hospitals operate on a 3-shift system, but don't provide the full range of services 24/7. For instance, administration offices, such as those of medical superintendents, accountants, and hospital administrators, are typically closed at night. To truly implement a 24-hour economy, services available during the day should be equally accessible at night. I urge President Mahama to ensure the organizations claiming to operate 24/7 actually provide at the same level of service around the clock, not just through shift work. This would enhance efficiency, convenience, and overall citizen satisfaction. Timothy Annabella Bichim, I think this is so true, you know, because imagine I come to the bank and I have full access, and I come at night, I don't have full access. Obviously, I want to go daytime because I want the full access. So if you're going to give us 24-hour economy, then we must make sure that that works. Good morning to you, Madam Roslyn, and your panelists, especially my daddy, Honorable Timothy Awantri Matabela. 24-hour policy economy is here to stay. NDC meant business and the country would recover quickly due to these policies. Very soon, massive employment would open for Ghanaian youth. Yanum promised us 1D, 1F. Until now, there isn't a single factory in the whole Upper East region. Ghana would rise again, and we shall continue to be a beacon of Africa. The youth are never lazy. As claimed by Katie Hammond, we only need to be engaged. God bless Ghana and help us. Awini Matthew from Garu. I'll read just one last one, and then we can, okay, I think this man always sends us messages, so let me do this. Honorable Akesime Sefibekwa, President John Mahama's 24-hour economy initiative is a game changer for Ghana. To make it truly effective, affordable power and accessible credit is crucial. Let's work together to ensure these components are in place, unlocking Ghana's full potential and driving economic growth. Regards to Honorable Bright Asamoah. I do have a lot of messages, but wow, quite impressive. All right, I'll come back and read more of it. So you see, our energy sector, we might need to boost the energy sector if we want to see the 24-hour economy working. Now, Ima, let me come to you because your colleagues have spoken more. So let me come to you. The energy sector is another thing that we have to take a look at. But as it stands now, it's struggling.
Yeah, that's true. But before I get to that, whilst you were reading, and then Honorable keeps... and I think in your case, whilst you were trying to talk, you talked about the fact that probably the 1D, 1F has failed. I think that the 1D,
I didn't say fail. I said there's a precedent that was set.
Okay.
Where
I don't know where that
500 million Ghana cedis was used to boost that 1D, 1F, but only 169 companies benefited from it. And so for Ghanaians, if you're going to use an amount of money, because this is taxpayers' money that was used, 500 million Ghana cedis, why 169 companies? Why not us having more? Because this is a policy that Ghanaians really wanted to work. But did it work? If you are looking at a country, look at our population, and only 169 companies benefited, then obviously one will say that is not a successful policy.
Well, that's true. But like I said, he also made mention of the fact, and it gives the impression that the 1D, 1F has failed. And I think that the 1D, 1F has not failed. Government then did its best, and you could attest to it. There are companies that are in full operation as at today. BF and other companies, we have TAS company that are in full operation by now. And I think that the current government being so good, have been able to capture the 1D, 1F into this policy, knowing very well that the 24-hour economy will have these factories operate on, the 3-shift system. They've captured that. So for me, I think that is a fantastic one. If we have to talk about failed policies and the rest, I don't think that it has to do with 1D, 1F.
Nobody said it was failed.
I'm coming.
Yes.
No. He said something like that.
He said something like that.
And there was a
the anchor upon which.
And there was a test also. So I'm just trying to link the two. So for me, I think that if we have to talk about failed promises or policies that has not worked, it should not be on that regard. The SADA, JIDA, and the rest, we know who brought them and we know how it failed us. So for me, I think that we should shift from that place and concentrate on this policy and talk 24-hour economy and economic plus or promise as it is being, tell it. Now, on the part of what you said, what you asked regarding the energy sector, I think that a lot needs to be done as far as our energy sector is concerned. Because if we want to have a 24-hour economy, then we need a reliable energy. We need a reliable lighting system. You can imagine that DVLA is running on government lands or government grid system, and at one point in time there is an operation going on. All of a sudden, light out. You can imagine what will happen. So we must again.
But during the day you can even do something, but at night when the light goes off, the light is gone.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you don't have,
if you don't have a
standby generator,
then it creates problems for you. So we must be deliberate in, what we do as far as our energy sector is concerned. And I think that the energy minister should focus much on what we should do in order to create the enabling environment as far as our energy sector is concerned. Now, fast forward. On the professor who spoke, he spoke about the fact that we need to align institutions in terms of this whole policy. And I seem to agree with him. Because if a government comes, what I've witnessed over the years is that every time there is a change of government, it's either one government shifts from what the previous government started or try to scrap part of what they were doing and do just a portion of it. So the secretariat could be scrapped off, yet still the policy continues. So I think that we must be deliberate to align them. For example, DVLA, let the management of DVLA be in charge. There should not be a secretariat that will be controlling the affairs of how DVLA 24-hour economy should be running. That is one thing we should look at. Again, I am looking at it from an angle that there should be a deliberate attempt not to create what we call corruption saga or anything like mismanagement. Because if we are not careful, within these 4 years that they are preempting to, have about 1.7 is it million people in operation as far as jobs creation is concerned, which I think that is not feasible. If we are not careful in doing this,
you don't think it's feasible?
No.
Why do you say this?
You and I are here. You wait and see that by the end of January 7th,
we will not have the 1.7 million people. I'm saying this because this
January
is Ghana.
7, 2029.
2029, January 2029, we will not have the 1.7 million people. This is Ghana. We have seen it all. We know how it works. Like Honorable said, it's a policy that is being rolled out in phases. So if it is in phases, what it means is that today they will roll out this. You know, as they've launched this policy now, I know they've gone back to their books. They will now be looking at what to do this whole activity at where, when, and how to go about it.
All right, so Emmanuel,
I'm told that in Takoradi and then Temahabo, they are rolling out this 24-hour economy policy with DVLA. Just 2 or 3 days ago, I saw the CEO posted on his timeline that he's going to roll out this at Temahabo and then Takoradi Habo. The question I ask is it going to be one of the things I witnessed in? But trust me, I'm saying it on this show. I'm going to give them a whole showdown when it comes to the monitoring of this 24-hour economy, because I will have the time to be visiting every place. And I'll be updating Ghanaians. If it is daytime, I'll commend them. If it is evening time and they are at work, I'll commend them.
Okay.
So for me, we must be deliberate so that it does not become one of those corruption baskets for the government, because we have seen it before.
All right, so talking about us seeing it before, that is why people were thinking that that's what happened to the 1D, 1F. That's what
that is not
that's what people were
never
thinking.
said that the 1D, 1F was a corruption.
No, I didn't say that. I said that.
No, you actually say it to be in alignment with what I said. That is not what they said. 1D, 1F. I don't think that there is anything that was said over there that it has to do with corruption, Saga. I am saying that we must be deliberate so that it does not become one of the corruption avenue or an avenue for corrupt practices. Because we have seen it before, where we were told that JIDA and SADA were being implemented. I confirm, and tree planting. What happened? We had these birds flying to Cote d'Ivoire. We don't want to sit down and be told that DVLA Adenta is operating midnight. I go there and get to know that no, it's not operating midnight. It is only securities that are sleeping and gets locked. That is what I'm saying.
Okay, Ima, thank you so much.
Yet money is being, disbursed and people are chopping like that.
We hear you, Emmanuel, we hear you. So for Emmanuel, JIDA and SIDA, there was corruption. But then to him, 1D, 1F.
Rosalie, no, don't go on that tangent. Don't go on that tangent.
What you said. Is that what he said? He said there's no corruption there, but there's corruption.
No, Rosalie, but anyway, there was one thing I wanted to.
I beg, I'll come back to you.
Somebody talked about the father Cathedral.
I'll come to you. Ima, I'll come to you, please.
Everyone to go to that Cathedral.
Ima, please, I'll come back to you. I'll come back.
Just a minute.
No, I beg you, else they won't have their time, please. Okay. So Kwame Nkrumah, Emmanuel did say that if care is not taken by the 7th, no, he didn't say if care. He actually did say categorically that by 7th of January, we won't see the 1.7 million people being employed. But if we take a look at, a place like DVLA, if they decide to employ more people because they are going on, the 24-hour economy, they could, only DVLA could employ over thousands of people, right?
Exactly, exactly. I, at least, being from the CPP background, we are used to seeing amazing things happen. To us, nothing is impossible once you put your mind to it and you exercise it with integrity and you check corruption. We foresee that this 1.7 million may even be exceeded, because I think one of the good policies that His Excellency President Nado did before he left power was to open our borders to our brothers in the rest of Africa, this visa-free policy. And it also ties in with Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's Pan-African policy. And we think that this policy should work. We believe it to go beyond the 1.7 million for us to even assist our brothers and sisters from the sub-region and Africa as a whole. So it will work. I think we'll exceed the 1.7 million. As you said, DVLA will be able to have these 3 shifts, employ people, and even when it comes to energy, let's not forget that the Kwabenya nuclear reactor was more or less in progress just immediately after the Akosombo Dam. So we can say that all these that are happening are more or less form part of Osagyefo's vision. So regarding to steer into the energy sector, of course, we need energy in order to run all these 3 shifts. Otherwise, we are going to end up with only probably 2 shifts because we'll have to close by 10 p.m. or thereabouts. We can go back to revisiting this nuclear power thing. His Excellency Nana-Addo Dankwa spoke about it, I think, launch phase 2 before he left power. We can explore, Bui also has a pilot wind power project. And when it comes to solar, Ghana has a huge advantage. And with this 24-hour economy, that frees up a lot of people to even work part-time in these sectors. Somebody can have a full-time job as a legal practitioner, a journalist, or anything, and even work part-time in a solar company, wind power company. That is how things work in the developed countries. I remember I went for a siblings graduation in upstate New York, somewhere around there. Very rural area, but across the road, there was a large expanse and there were solar panels. Yesterday, I had a matter at the Hu Regional Police Headquarters, and coincidentally, I came across this story that you reported, this gory story.
Oh, you were there?
I was there.
Ooh.
I went there for a different matter, and the details again, it was gory.
I've seen videos.
But driving there were large tracts of land. We have a lot of land. We could have these solar panels, we could have these wind farms and all that. I think it will work and exceed all expectations. And I know that it is also good that the NPP is punching holes in the areas that we should look at, because it is constructive criticism. And without constructive criticism, complacency will set in. I believe that 4 years down the line, we'll all be smiling and at how well it has worked out.
Fantastic. Honorable, you want to say something before I read the messages?
First of all, you see, every businesses would want a reliable and an efficient energy. Sometimes you would even want a stable energy done. That is a little costly than even a cheaper one that you do not get. So even in sub-Saharan Africa, we would have found out that our tariffs on energy is quite higher than Nigeria and others. But they prefer to buy from Ghana because they continue to say that Ghana's energy is stable. It enables them to plan to do business and so on. That is what businesses are. And that is why when you look at the benefits that you get from enrolling on the 24-hour economy, there's an issue to deliberately calibrate meters to read when we are doing the production in order to give you some incentives that would help you. Again, you see, he keep talking about Jida, Sada. You see, my brother, don't let us go there. And your this thing. Because when I start now to churn out the corruption that bedevils your government, we wouldn't go today, and that is not the issue. It's a deliberate attempt by the MPP to derail us from the good news of what. At least you're enjoying the stable CD, the fuel dash. Today when you were coming, you drove in an air-conditioned car because you knew very well that you had enough fuel.
Going up soon, though. We've been told that fuel.
Inflation. Please, even if it's one day that you enjoy it. At some time, we were not even enjoying it at all. That was the time we see now Christians, their glasses down all the time. But you see, tax exemptions that this government used for the 1D1F, I think I got it right. It was deliberately skewed to feature even foreign entities like Senyo Oil. You understand? People who have the capacity to build this. I can go on is it B5, the steel manufacturing industry?
B5,
the local industries themselves did not even benefit from the tax exemption. You remember the last banter in Parliament about whether to approve or not to approve, saying, you remember, all the tax exemptions and so on. Because even the local minor businesses did not benefit. Nigeria has a deliberate policy to ensure that they consume local rice. And talk about, we can do that here. Your government borrowed $30 billion from the Paris Club, from the Chinese and across development partners. 13 billion was borrowed in your 4 years. If you are deliberately push this money into an economy that can pay for itself or an infrastructure that can pay for it, wouldn't have been where we are. In fact, the 24-hour economy would have only come to build on the infrastructure you have left. Look at the state of our roads. Look at the state of the energy sector. Senyo, you agree with me that, look, Auditor General report alone, as we talk today, on Saturday they discussed it, 52 billion lost out, and they are asking Akwama Boateng, the current Auditor General, to find the money and so on. If public funds are deliberately wasted into non-productive area in order to benefit family and friends, and we are trying to bring the economy back on track, looking at the fact that this economy was rated CCC, even restrictive default, and so on, at least help us to push forward. It is too early for you to continue to put spokes in a vehicle that is trying to bring the thing on board.
Honorable,
so you should not...
Yes,
you should not...
Ghanaians have also not forgotten about it.
You should not also be doing that. You should be helping this policy to go. When they trying to help you to win power, don't you see?
Anyway.
Because they would say that they would have changed the narrative of the politician to now we have a good government that has rewritten.
All right, let me read a few messages.
And it will benefit all of us. So saying you'll be helping, don't be putting the spokes.
All right, so Daniel Akpaleok says that the launch of the 24-hour economy by the NDC is a game-changing vision that puts people before politics and productivity before propaganda. President Mahama has shown a bold, forward-thinking leadership, and that is exactly what Ghana needs after years of economic mismanagement and empty slogans under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia regime. While they gave us a collapsing economy and corruption in daylight, the NDC is delivering jobs, growth, and hope. Criticisms are good, but let's be measured and constructive in our criticizing this life-changing policy. Good morning to the respected politician, Honorable Timothy Awantrim Atabuade. Akisme says, I read yours on WhatsApp. Atupain says that there should be full accountability on Lister Hospital. Okay, so unfortunately, because you're mentioning names, I can't read this, okay? This is from Nawumba Matthew. Good morning to you, Roslyn, and your panelists, especially my daddy, Honorable Timothy Awantrim. I think I read this one too, right?
You did, yeah.
Yes. Atupens comes back and says...
one of the testers in Tamale who said there were one one factory, and we've been asking up to today, he has run away. Akonsi Garba, you remember?
Teacher Constitution, Ria Mwase, single mother selling bread without her own capital for 20 years, makes an average of 70 Ghana cedis a day to cater for 4 kids, works all day until she sells all, bought all the bread for 1,000 Ghana cedis. She's still in shock. Please learn to surprise such single moms who will do all it takes to put food on the tables of their children. It is called a little act of kindness. All right, thank you so much, teacher, for encouraging people to do this. David Nkegbe Agon Nira. Senyo, excellent submission on the 24-hour economy policy. The government and its communicators need to come clear to explain the policy to ordinary Ghanaians. How is the policy going to benefit ordinary Ghanaian businesses, artisans, seamstresses, dressmakers, etc.? They must move beyond political theatrics and be real with Ghanaians. Musa Abattoir 24-hour economy policy is a bold and visionary initiative aimed at, I think I've done this one too already, Edward Dunyo, dear, I am Confidence Abakaliki from Central Tongo in the Volta region. I try as much as possible to do this. Is that anti-NDC man saying he will be in the bush 24 hours for the timber? Dear, is there anything called 24-hour economy policy again? Hasn't Ghana come to conclusion that so-called policy is a scam and has nothing beneficial? What at all is this fake and propaganda policy about? Is our student going to learn for 247? Is our farmers going to... Oh, Edward, this one here. Edward. How many times did I call you? Hey, Edward. Hey, politics is not easy. Kwame and CDT are halfway changed. So yesterday was a bad day for Ghana. Ghanaians, especially micro-minority, there's no micro-minority, that's minority. My condolence to entire constituency and family of Honorable NSE Alkumi. Really, Ghana is heading to right direction under current NDC government. My regards to youngest and hardworking MD of Prestia, Adaza Amot. Kudos to Honorable Senyo for great submission. 24-hour economy is a scam to Ghanaians, and they themselves can't explain to Ghanaians what 24-hour economy is. We are waiting for them 2028. DJ Opai Demo from Kumasi Swami. If Ghanaians can go for their votes by now, the only percentage left for NDC will be 1%. Greetings to Chairman Odeneho Kwapia. All right. Let me do this one. Babonta Joseph. Good morning, Rosalind. Good job, Honorables. I am much convicted that the 25 economy is a good policy towards transforming Ghanaian economic history. However, its full implementation will depend on the attitudes of Ghanaians on the basis of partisanship. Let's embrace goodness and avoid negative criticism against good policies. This is Babonta Joseph. All right, thank you so much. All right, should I do this? Okay, Nane Kwamwa Boating, Nane Kwamwa says that 25 policy is simply a jandam policy. They told us 3-shift system for public sector jobs. Today, they are telling us that it will be private sector driven policy. It's not a well thought through policy. Nana, they didn't say it's only private sector. Oh, Nana. A very special greetings to Honorable Charles Oting, OT, Greater Accra. Okay, so I think I'll just, it's okay. I think it's okay. Thank you so much. We've done enough messages this morning, so we have to end the segment now. So, Senyo, you have a minute to make your point, and everybody has a minute to make their submission.
So, whilst I finish this, I want to say that the 24-hour economic and economy plus should not only be on paper and on government spokesperson lips. Instead, government should see to its full implementation and execution. Again, there is also the need for government to educate the public more on this policy. I think part of the resources should be channeled into education as far as this policy is concerned. Else, you have Ajua comes to say A, Timothy comes to say B. There is no coordination. So I think that there is the need for a deliberate education as far as this policy is concerned. Else, we'll continue to see them as the jandam, as being reported by my friend said. It will be seen as a jandam policy. So I think that a lot ought to go into the education of this policy. Then the last thing I want to say, somebody talked about the Cathedral thing.
Okay.
I don't think that we should be going on that route.
Okay.
Because you see, we lambasted this whole Cathedral initiative and all of that. Today, what are we being told? We are being told that it is being converted into a national cultural center, convention center, show 24. It is under this policy. And I cried when I saw that. I'm like, Christians, we've allowed ourselves, and we are seeing the result today. Today it is being used as a tourist center. They want to use it for, convention center. That one we don't have problem. But we are waiting to see what will come out of it. And the last thing I want to say is, I want to once again use this opportunity and this platform to empathize with the family of our beloved brother. Mm-hmm. May he so rest in peace. Especially his immediate family.
All right. Thank
because
you so much.
It is so heartwarming, so sad.
Senyo, thank you so much.
May he so rest in peace.
Thank you. Honorable.
Yeah, so is Senyo telling us that he's very proud that $58 million was put into a cathedral that never was. And the people who were having dialysis that could not pay them, he died. What sort of cathedral that we would be building when even teething issues that confront our people could not be arrested and their lives, as we talk today, they are in the grave? Is that the cathedral that we want? And I don't think that is how public money should be used. It must be used responsibly and accountably, because power emanates from the people and power is vested in the people, and that power should not be abused because you are in power. And when we do a critique of what you are doing, then you think there's a problem. Look, someone in America is holding $6 million. $6 million with the intention of raising funding for a cathedral that never was, up to today. And then Otumfuo needed $10 million to heal Okonfa-Anokye. He went a begging. Is that what we are proud of as a citizen? It is all over the international world that we pumped 58 million into a cathedral. Yes. Now, let me tell you, I like the way he started by the conclusion aspect of the 24-hour economy. And I thought about total mobilization of the rank and file of the people of this country behind that policy. It is non-partisan, it's a thought-through policy, it's innovative, it's a policy that has come to arrest hitherto issues that we neglected or we did not pay much attention to. It is all embracing. So we should all come for it. It doesn't matter your political background. It doesn't matter where you come from. The important thing is that the people of this country want to be yanked from their doldrums into a pedestal that will make life better for them, like it has been made for people who have been at the helm of our affairs and so on.
We are grateful. Yes, Kwame Nkrumah.
So quickly, I would say that Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said that, and I quote, "I am in the knowledge that death can never extinguish the torch which I have lit in Ghana and Africa. Long after I'm dead and gone, the light will continue to burn and be borne aloft, giving light and guidance to all people." And we in the CPP, we are happy at the way things are going at the moment. You can see Kwame Nkrumah was a great advocate of industrialization and a great advocate of socialism. And this 24-hour policy, as well as the free SHS policy, you can tell that over the past few years, Ghanaians are uniting behind Nkrumahism. And let's keep it up, and then we'll be able to achieve a lot for all of us and for posterity.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here.